They made us laugh every Christmas. But behind the scenes of Home Alone was a darker reality. Fame, tragedy, heartbreak, many of the stars who brought joy to millions carried silent pain no one saw. What really happened to the boy who outsmarted burglars, or the loving parents we all adored? 35 years later, we uncover the shocking fates of the Home Alone cast. You won't believe how some stories ended. Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McAllister. He was the kid every child wanted to be, clever, fearless, and free. At just 10 years old, Macaulay Culkin lit up the world as Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, becoming the ultimate Christmas icon. With a cheeky grin and eyes full of mischief, he captured the hearts of millions and skyrocketed to global fame overnight. 2 years later, he returned in Home Alone 2, sealing his place in Hollywood history as the golden boy of the 90s. But while audiences laughed at Kevin's pranks, Macaulay was living a very different story. Behind closed doors, his childhood was a prison. Born in New York City in 1980, Macaulay was the third of 7 children crammed into a tiny apartment. The real villain in his life wasn't Marv or Harry, it was his own father. Kit Culkin, a failed actor, was bitter, controlling, and abusive. He didn't just manage Macaulay's career, he dominated his life. The boy America adored was, in reality, a child working non-stop, terrified of the man behind the camera. By the time he turned 15, Macaulay had earned over $20 million, but he had no control over it. In an act of quiet rebellion, he took his parents to court, not just to protect his fortune, but to reclaim his life. It was a bold, heartbreaking move that no teenager should ever have to make. His adult years were marked by addiction, scandal, and a haunting sense of loss. Early marriage ended in divorce. His name faded from Hollywood headlines, replaced by whispers of burnout and breakdown. But somehow, he survived. Today, Macaulay Culkin lives a quieter life with actress Brenda Song and their 2 young children. While his career never returned to its peak, he found something far more valuable: peace. Behind the legend of Kevin McAllister lies a story of pain, courage, and resilience. And maybe, just maybe, a little boy finally found the home he never had. John Hurt as Peter McAllister. He was the frantic father every family recognized, rushed, imperfect, yet deeply loving. In Home Alone, 1990, John Hurt brought Peter McAllister to life as the dad who panics when he realizes his son has been left behind. His performance felt real, human, and warm, turning Peter into a symbol of holiday chaos wrapped in parental love. 2 years later, he returned in Home Alone 2, forever tying his face to one of the most beloved Christmas films of all time. But behind that reassuring screen presence was a life slowly unraveling. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1946, John Hurt built a long, respectable career across film, television, and theater. Yet success never brought him peace. His private life was marked by emotional turbulence and repeated heartbreak. 3 marriages ended in divorce, each leaving deeper scars than the last. The most painful chapter was his relationship with actress Melissa Leo. What began as love turned into a brutal custody battle over their son, played out publicly and mercilessly in the media. Accusations of assault, stalking, and trespassing followed, eroding his reputation and isolating him from both the industry and the people he loved. The man audiences trusted as a dependable father figure was, in reality, losing control of his own life. Friends drifted away, roles became fewer, loneliness closed in. As the years passed, John withdrew further into himself, struggling with mental anguish and a crushing sense of abandonment. The warmth he gave so effortlessly on screen felt unreachable in real life. On July 21, 2017, John Hurt was found dead in a Palo Alto hotel room just 2 days after back surgery. He was 71 years old. The cause was ruled a sudden heart attack. After nearly 5 decades in Hollywood, his estate was modest, a quiet ending for a man who once stood at the heart of a global holiday tradition. John Hurd made us believe in family when the lights were on. When they faded, he was left searching for the same comfort he gave to millions. Joe Pesci as Harry Lime. He made us laugh, flinch, and cheer, a bumbling villain who somehow stole our hearts. As Harry Lime, the short-tempered, scheming burglar in Home Alone, Joe Pesci created one of the most memorable bad guys in family film history. His explosive energy and slapstick misery, paired with Daniel Stern's Marv, became comedy gold. In Home Alone 2, he returned meaner, funnier, and just as iconic. But the man behind the madness was fighting battles far more serious than broken paint cans. Born in 1943 in Newark, New Jersey, Joe Pesci came from a blue-collar Italian family. His rise to fame wasn't handed to him. It was clawed from years of hustle. Before Home Alone, he had already earned critical acclaim, even winning an Oscar for Goodfellas. But even as he dominated the screen, his personal life was unraveling behind the scenes. Pesci married 3 times. Each love story ended in heartbreak. His most devastating relationship was with actress Claudia Harrow, a romance once thought to be destiny. After their divorce, Harrow was later convicted in a shocking attempted murder plot involving another ex-husband. Though Joe had no part in it, the media frenzy dragged him into the darkness, casting shadows over his name and legacy. The relentless pressure of Hollywood, coupled with the emotional wounds of failed love, pushed Pesci into isolation. He began retreating from the spotlight, taking fewer roles, avoiding interviews, and living far from the chaos of Los Angeles. Fame had given him fortune, but robbed him of peace. By 2025, Joe Pesci is 82. He lives a reclusive life in New Jersey, rarely seen, except for the occasional quiet return in films like The Irishman. His net worth stands around $50 million, with a luxurious mansion and an enviable car collection. But no amount of wealth could fill the emotional void he carried. He made the world laugh, then quietly walked away from it, leaving behind a legacy of brilliance and pain. John Candy as Gus Polinski. He only appeared for minutes, but he left a mark as deep as any star. In Home Alone, 1990, John Candy played Gus Polinski, the kind-hearted polka king of the Midwest, who helps Kate McAllister get home to her son. With just a few scenes, he brought warmth, humor, and unexpected emotion to a frantic mother's journey, a cameo that turned into one of the film's most heartfelt moments. But off-screen, Candy's own journey was filled with quiet suffering. Born in 1950 in Ontario, Canada, John Franklin Candy grew up in a working-class Catholic family. At just 4 years old, he lost his father to heart disease, a loss that haunted him for the rest of his life. Candy dreamed of becoming a football player, but a devastating knee injury in his teens ended that dream early. That physical blow planted seeds of self-doubt that grew into something far more damaging. Though beloved for his humor, Candy battled anxiety, panic attacks, and a constant fear of failure. As his fame rose in the ADS, so did the demands, and the weight he carried, both literally and emotionally. He turned to food, cigarettes, alcohol, and eventually cocaine, trying to manage the pressure with unhealthy habits that slowly took a toll on his body. Despite his personal demons, Candy was a devoted family man with a wife and 2 children who adored him. He tried again and again to lose weight, to get healthy, to outrun the genetic fate that had claimed his father. But the pressure never let up. On March 4, 1994, while filming Wagons East in Mexico, John Candy died in his sleep from a massive heart attack. He was only 43 years old. His sudden death shocked the world, especially since he had been laughing and joking on set just hours before. He left behind an estimated $10 million estate, a home in Toronto, and a legacy of unforgettable films. At his grave in Los Angeles, fans still leave flowers, photos, and notes, because John Candy didn't just make us laugh, he made us feel seen. He gave everything to bring us joy. But in the end, he left quietly, carrying the weight of a life that gave so much and asked too much in return. Catherine O'Hara as Kate McAllister. She was every mother's panic, every child's comfort, the heart of Home Alone. As Kate McAllister, Catherine O'Hara delivered one of the most unforgettable portrayals of a frantic, guilt-stricken mother racing to get back to her son. Her performance blended comedy with heartbreak, turning a Christmas movie into something real, something human. In Home Alone 2, she returned with the same fierce love, a mother the world rooted for. But behind the warm smile and comedic timing was a woman quietly wrestling with pain of her own. Born in 1954 in Toronto, Canada, Catherine grew up as one of 7 children in a modest Irish Catholic household. Her childhood was loud, crowded, and chaotic, and despite the numbers, she often felt unseen. That early feeling of invisibility stayed with her, even as she found the spotlight. Fame came, then applause, then more roles, and eventually, love. She married production designer Bo Welch in 1992. Together, they had 2 sons and built what looked like a stable family, a Hollywood rarity. But after 24 years, the marriage ended in a painful divorce. The quiet she'd once longed for now felt unbearable. As the industry grew colder with age, Catherine found herself receiving fewer calls, fewer scripts. Her mind raced with questions no actor ever wants to ask. Do they still want me? Am I still needed? Depression crept in. Nights stretched long. She faced the loneliness of a fading spotlight, not with scandal but with silence. Now, 71, Catherine O'Hara has chosen a simpler life. She takes on projects only when they matter, finding joy in the characters that still speak to her heart. The rest of her time is spent with her children, away from the noise. With a net worth of around $10 million and homes in both Los Angeles and New York, she no longer needs to prove herself. She gave us one of cinema's most memorable mothers. And behind the camera, she became something even more powerful, a survivor of her own quiet storms. She lost her way on screen. She found her way in life. Which version of Catherine's story moved you more, the one on screen or the one behind it? Let us know below. Robert's Blossom as Old Man Marley. He scared us at first, then made us cry. In Home Alone, 1990, Robert's Blossom played Old Man Marley, the mysterious neighbor rumored to be a killer, only to be revealed as a lonely grandfather longing to reunite with his family. With just a few quiet scenes and a tearful church conversation, Blossom turned what could have been a side character into the emotional soul of the film. But the sadness he portrayed wasn't just acting. It came from somewhere deeply real. Born in 1924 in New Haven, Connecticut, Robert's Blossom lost his father to heart disease when he was just 4 years old. That early trauma never left him. It shaped his entire life, instilling a deep fear of abandonment and loss that would echo through his years. He found solace in poetry and acting, worlds where emotions could be felt safely and from a distance. He married twice. Both marriages ended, the second in heartbreaking tragedy when his wife Marilyn Orkin died in 1982. After that, he never remarried. Though he had 2 children, Michael and Deborah, the emotional gap between them remained wide. He was a quiet, gentle soul, but never quite able to bridge the space between fatherhood and friendship. Like his character, Blossom spent his later years in growing isolation. Fame never meant much to him. He avoided the Hollywood lifestyle, took few interviews, and gradually disappeared from the public eye. He was the kind of actor who would leave a powerful impression, and then vanish into the shadows. On July 8, 2011, Roberts Blossom passed away at the age of 87 in a nursing home in California. The cause was cerebrovascular disease. He left behind a modest estate and a few personal belongings. No Hollywood mansion, no headlines, just memories in the hearts of those who watched him. He was the man who reminded us that no one is ever too old for a second chance. Not in movies, and maybe not in life. Daniel Stern as Marv Merchants. He was goofy, loud, and hilariously unlucky, the thief you couldn't help but love. As Marv in Home Alone, Daniel Stern brought slapstick chaos to life. Paired with Joe Pesci's hot-headed Harry, his high-pitched screams and endless clumsiness turned him into a comic legend. In Home Alone 2, he returned to deliver more of the same: pratfalls, paint cans, bricks to the face, and somehow, we never stopped laughing. But when the laughter stopped, Stern was fighting a much quieter struggle of his own. Born in 1957 in Bethesda, Maryland, Daniel Stern came from a modest working-class family. Outwardly, his childhood seemed stable. His father worked in social services, his mother ran a daycare. But inside, Daniel felt the pressure of expectation and the constant worry that he wasn't enough. That quiet anxiety never quite left him, even as the world laughed at his characters. In 1980, he married Lore Matos, and together they raised 3 children. But even with a loving home, the Hollywood grind pulled him away from his family. Roles came one after another, a blessing for his career, a burden for his marriage. He invested heavily during the dot-com boom, only to watch his fortune slip through his fingers when the bubble burst. Bills mounted, arguments grew. The pressure pushed him close to the edge. Stern later confessed there were times he felt like Marv in real life, foolish, exhausted, and constantly beaten down by life's traps. But unlike his on-screen persona, Daniel found a way out. He stepped back from the spotlight, choosing peace over fame. Today, at 68, he lives on a vineyard in Southern California with his family. He writes, farms, and occasionally lends his voice to projects that matter to him. His estimated net worth is around $20 million. But more importantly, he's found balance. He once made us laugh until we cried. Now he's found the kind of quiet life that Marv could only dream of. Devon Ratray as Buzz McAllister. He was the brother everyone loved to hate. Loud, obnoxious, full of teenage attitude. As Buzz McAllister, Devon Ratray nailed the role of Kevin's bullying older brother in Home Alone. His snarling smirks, sarcastic jabs, and legendary line, "I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass," made him unforgettable. He returned in Home Alone 2, once again delivering the perfect mix of teenage angst and comedy. But while Buzz was just a character, for Devon, the real trouble was just beginning. Born in 1977 in New York City to 2 actor parents, Devon seemed destined for the screen. But the spotlight came with a price. Fame arrived fast and young. While other kids played outside, Devon was memorizing lines, hitting marks, and posing for cameras. The pressure to succeed, and to live up to his family's legacy, weighed heavily on him. That early success became a shadow. As he aged out of childhood roles, the calls slowed down. The attention faded. What remained were feelings of failure, confusion, and a desperate need to prove himself. His once promising career turned into a series of small roles and missed chances. Then came the scandals. In 2021, Devon was arrested after allegedly assaulting his ex-girlfriend in an Oklahoma hotel room. The chilling details, accusations of strangulation and death threats, stunned fans. Just a year later, he faced new accusations, drugging and sexually assaulting a longtime friend in 2017. Though he denied the claims, the damage was done. His Hollywood image shattered. The boy who once dominated the screen now found himself drowning in controversy. His net worth reportedly dropped to around $400,000. He lives quietly in Los Angeles, far from the red carpets he once walked as a child star. Buzz was a bully, but he was fictional. The real tragedy lies in Devon Ratray's fall from grace, a cautionary tale of how early fame can warp, wound, and eventually destroy. Jerry Bamman as Uncle Frank McAllister. He was cheap, rude, and absolutely hilarious. The uncle everyone rolled their eyes at. In Home Alone, Jerry Bamman played Uncle Frank, the stingy, sarcastic relative who didn't care that Kevin was missing, as long as it didn't cost him a dime. His performance was perfectly annoying and perfectly unforgettable. He returned in Home Alone 2, adding even more memorable one-liners and cringe-worthy moments that made audiences laugh and wince. But once the credits rolled, Jerry Bamman's real life was no laughing matter. Born in 1941 in Independence, Kansas, Bamman seemed to have it all: a successful career in theater, film, and television, and a marriage to respected director Emily Mann. For a time, it looked like a perfect creative partnership. But like many stories behind the curtain, the reality was much messier. The marriage collapsed after many years, ending in a painful divorce that didn't just fracture his home, it also fractured his bond with his only son, Nicholas. As his family life crumbled, Bamman turned to work as a distraction, but Hollywood didn't offer him leading roles. He was cast again and again in supporting parts. Strong performances, yes, but rarely remembered. The money wasn't steady. Financial insecurity hung over him, adding stress to an already lonely existence. In private, Bamman struggled with decades of heavy smoking, a habit he used to cope with the emotional weight of his personal failures. Over time, it ravaged his health. Behind the scenes, the man who made us laugh with his miserly on-screen persona was slowly withering under the weight of emotional exhaustion, illness, and regret. In December 2024, Jerry Bamman passed away at the age of 83 after complications from a fall. His estate was modest, a house in Los Angeles and a few old cars. No red carpet farewell, no Hollywood tributes. Just a quiet ending for a man who once helped bring joy to millions. Kieran Culkin as Fuller McAllister. He was the kid with glasses, a Pepsi can, and a running joke. Fuller, go easy on the Pepsi. At just 8 years old, Kieran Culkin charmed the world in Home Alone as Kevin's quirky cousin, Fuller. His role was small, but memorable. The bedwetting gag became a classic, and his wide-eyed innocence stuck with audiences. He returned in Home Alone 2, once again quietly stealing scenes without saying much at all. But while his role was light-hearted, Kieran's real life was anything but. Born in 1982 in New York City, Kieran was the fourth of 7 children, growing up in a cramped apartment in Manhattan's Yorkville neighborhood. Like his older brother Macaulay, he was thrust into the spotlight young, but their home life was filled with chaos, fear, and emotional wounds. Their father, Kit Culkin, was a failed actor who became a domineering force in the family. Cold, controlling, and emotionally abusive, Kit turned his sons into stars, but stole their childhoods in the process. Kieran later said he received love only from his mother, Patricia Brentup, who worked herself to the bone just to keep the family afloat. The emotional toll of neglect and fear carved deep scars into his sense of self. Fame came not with pride, but with pressure. As he grew older, Kieran wrestled with anxiety, trust issues, and a fear of repeating the same mistakes his father made. Even in love, he carried the ghost of his past. But unlike many child stars, Kieran found a way to rise, not with blockbusters, but with thoughtful, powerful performances that slowly rebuilt his identity as a serious actor. He married Jazz Charton, started a family, and now has 2 young children of his own. But even with success, including award-winning roles in shows like Succession, Kieran admits the past still haunts him. He fears failing as a father, fears becoming cold, fears disappearing into the same emotional void his father created. By 2025, Kieran Culkin is 43, with a net worth around $5 million, homes in Los Angeles and New York, and a reputation as one of Hollywood's most quietly brilliant performers. He's no longer Fuller. He's a survivor and an artist. Eddie Bracken as Mr. Duncan. He was the kind stranger who reminded us that kindness still exists. In Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Eddie Bracken played Mr. Duncan, the warm-hearted toy store owner who secretly donates all his profits to children's charities. Though his screen time was brief, his presence was unforgettable. In a movie full of chaos and comedy, Mr. Duncan brought heart, a quiet reminder that generosity can still be magical. But behind that gentle smile was a lifetime of sacrifice, applause, and quiet sorrow. Born in 1915 in Queens, New York, Eddie Bracken was a child of the Great Depression. By age 9, he was already performing in vaudeville to help support his family. His boyish charm and natural comic timing made him a star in the 1940s, with hit films and Broadway shows under his belt. For decades, he was one of America's most beloved character actors. But even with decades of laughter on screen and stage, Bracken lived with a lingering ache, the struggle of balancing career and family. His first marriage ended in heartbreak. Later, he found lasting love with his second wife, Connie Nickerson, and together they built a life. But Bracken himself later admitted something that many performers fear, that he gave too much to the stage and not enough to those at home. The cheers of packed theaters filled him with joy, but the silence after the curtain fell often felt hollow. Despite his success, Bracken never quite escaped the guilt of time lost with loved ones, of moments missed. In 2002, just 3 months after Connie's death, Eddie Bracken passed away at the age of 87 in Glen Ridge, New Jersey. Many believe his heart simply couldn't bear the weight of her absence. He left behind a modest estate, a small home, a few theatrical keepsakes, and a legacy wrapped in laughter and tenderness. He was the man who gave Kevin McAllister the turtle doves, a symbol of friendship, loyalty, and love. Do you remember Mr. Duncan's message about giving? If his kindness meant something to you, share in the comments. Larry Hankin as Officer Balzac. He wasn't on screen for long, but he made sure you remembered him. In Home Alone, 1990, Larry Hankin played Officer Balzac, the jaded cop who shows up at the McAllister house after young Kevin is accidentally left behind. With just a few lines and a deadpan expression, Hankin delivered comedy gold, capturing the frustration of a cop dealing with panicked parents and chaotic calls during the holiday season. The character was small, the impact, lasting. Balzac's sarcasm and no-nonsense tone became instantly memorable. His phone call scene, casually munching a donut while repeating hyperactive kid, I don't know, maybe he's playing with a toothbrush or something, was peak dry humor. In a film full of slapstick and sentiment, Hankin's performance added a perfect punch of realism. But for Hankin, this was just another moment in a long, eclectic career. Born in 1940, Larry Hankin is one of those rare character actors who's been everywhere. From Seinfeld to Breaking Bad, from indie films to major comedies, he's made a career out of turning small roles into unforgettable ones. With his tall frame, tousled hair, and signature scowl, Hankin never needed more than a few minutes of screen time to steal the scene. He didn't play heroes, he played people, messy, flawed, weird, and utterly real. Now, in his 80s, Larry Hankin continues to act, write, and create. His role as Officer Balzac may have been brief, but like everything he touches, it had staying power. Because that's what great character actors do, they turn the background into something unforgettable. Hilary Wolf as Megan McAllister. She was the older sister with the eye rolls, the sarcasm, and zero patience for Kevin. In Home Alone, 1990, Hilary Wolf played Megan McAllister, one of Kevin's many siblings, and arguably the most fed up with his antics. With just a few lines, she managed to embody every exasperated teenage sister in America. You're what the French call les incompetents. Her deadpan delivery helped define the chaotic family dynamic we all remember. Her screen time was short, but her presence was sharp, funny, and real. Megan wasn't just a background sibling. She was the voice of the fed-up older generation in the McAllister clan, rolling her eyes while the adults panicked and the kids yelled over one another. She didn't rescue Kevin. She didn't chase burglars, but she made the house feel full, alive, and authentic. And in a movie built on family madness, that mattered. But for Hilary Wolf, Home Alone wasn't the start of a Hollywood rise. It was one of her final bows. Born in 1977 in Chicago, Hilary Wolf had a brief but bright acting career. She appeared in a few films and TV roles, including Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even, but she ultimately walked away from the spotlight, choosing a path few child actors ever do. Instead of chasing fame, she chased gold. Literally. Hilary became a champion judo athlete, eventually representing the United States in the 1996 and 2000 Summer Olympics. While her co-stars were navigating Hollywood, Hilary was training, sweating, and fighting on the world stage, writing a second act that no one saw coming. Today, she's a coach, a mother, and a reminder that sometimes walking away from fame isn't the end. It's the beginning of something far more powerful. Michael C. Maronna as Jeff McAllister. He was the older brother with the sarcasm and the signature 90s mullet. In Home Alone, Michael C. Maronna played Jeff, one of Kevin's many siblings, and maybe the most uninterested of them all. With a few eye rolls and dry lines, he perfectly captured that too cool for everything teenage energy. He returned in Home Alone 2, just as unimpressed and just as relatable. While his role was small, his presence helped ground the chaos of the McAllister family, making it feel real. Off-screen, Michael took a surprising path. After starring in the cult favorite The Adventures of Pete and Pete on Nickelodeon, he stepped away from the spotlight and built a career behind the camera, as a union electrician on major sets like Sex and the City. Fame wasn't his goal. Creativity was. Today, he works quietly in the industry and co-hosts a nostalgic podcast, connecting with fans who grew up watching him. Jeff didn't care much back then, but we care now. Drop it if you still remember the mullet.